A very good morning, my dear friends. Welcome to this session 3, where we're going to discuss on advanced data analytics functions using MS Excel. The last 2 sessions were pretty interesting and exciting, where the first session we looked into an overview of analytics, and in the second session, Mr. Mehta from Delhi had taken us through what is called as the basics or fundamentals of Excel. So now in the session which we are going to discuss today, we thought we'll go a little more deeper into Excel and try to figure out what are those advanced capabilities which Excel has, which you and I can actually make use of and see how best we can, learn from that. So today, our speaker is CA Venugopal Gilla. He is a partner from Venu and Vinay Chartered Accountants, a Bangalore-based firm. And I would call him as a GST tech expert. For a simple reason, he tries to always, whatever may be the scenario, he always tries to see where technology can be used as a solution. It could be in a simple formula, or it could be in an advanced macro writing, or for all you know, it could be some sort of an automation. He is always one step ahead, and he always tries to bring that differentiation point. So on that note, I would like to welcome CA Venugopal Gilla, and he is a practicing chartered accountant. He qualified in the year 2002, securing All India 45th rank. He also has completed other certificate courses from ICAI, namely BISA, your certificate course on business valuation, internal audit course, FAFD course, etc. He is an active speaker on ICAI and GST. A very active speaker on ICAI in the GST domain, and very regularly he keeps speaking on that side. And at the same time, one of the unique things which he always often does is he speaks not only from the GST angle, he also speaks from the technology angle. So that I think is a major differentiator. And he is a wonderful person, known close to me. And when I requested him, he readily said, why not, let's go ahead and get started with this nice initiative. So he has conducted various workshops on corporates with the usage of technology, how you can improvise your work using Excel or your efficiency, and very interesting thing, building automated reports from accounting and financial applications. So these are a few of the areas which he's been using. And he's also an advisor, or the man behind the development of various cloud-based applications. A few of them are TaxSmile, Insta Financials, and etc. So with this brief introduction, I will present you CA Venu, partner Venu and Vinay Chartered Accountants. And I would request him to take over the session. And today's session is going to be on advanced data analytics functions using the power of Excel. Okay, just a couple of thoughts before I hand it over to him. A few of the participants were requesting if we can practice it live, etc. My dear friends, this is just an awareness workshop so that all of us get to know what is possible. So this is just to build the momentum and say, hey, you know what, these are so many things which you can explore. So the files as such will not be able to share, but nevertheless, the concept, I'm sure most of you will be able to capture it, and you yourself can, start applying that particular concept in your practical life. And on that note, I will give it to Mr. Venu. And one thing which I missed mentioning about Mr. Venu is he's also done his 1-year course on data analytics and business intelligence from IIM, Indian Institute of Management. So you can envisage the vast amount of Excel and automation based expertise which Venu has. So on that note, I will hand it over to Mr. Venu.
Thank you, Narasimhan. And hello, friends. Happy to be in the part of the analytics related topic of the discussion. Generally, I speak mainly on the GST and technology in GST, but today on the analytics. And the discussion for that today is using some of the Excel spreadsheet formulas, and which are traditional, historical, to the dynamic AI formulas which have come. Some understanding on the data validations. Then I would do some data modeling and interactive visualization stuff. Then I will go ahead and tell you how to do customize preparing your macros and some of the macros which you can do it for yourself. That is the agenda for today. Please note, it's a topic on an Excel, and I am presuming the participants would be in wide spectrum. On one hand, where the participants are at the beginners, they are trying to understand. For you, it may seem that I'm really up. So this is an advanced Excel, so it's okay. And on other extreme, people will like, okay, I know this formula, it's okay, nothing great about it. But definitely one out of this four which you are seeing, maybe there would be one which is there which you didn't know and definitely would add value to you, right? So definitely this session is catering to all the spectrum of the people. So you should be aware. Sometimes it is speed and sometimes it is slow. And when you feel that it is too speed, just get that you have lots to catch. And this is a YouTube video recording, so it is available anytime. You can always practice. And the files which I'm using only 5 different files. I'll just share you a link where you can download those files at a later when you want to practice. If you feel that it is slow, you should track yourself that okay, you are already in advanced Excel and you are doing great in your life. So in wherever the spectrum are, this is the right place. You should know that you are in a right place. So to start with, dynamic arrays. I will take you through some of the examples of the dynamic arrays. But however, the examples which I am walking you through, you might find that this function or formula is not available in your Excel. And the dynamic formulas are now coming up in the new version of an Excel. You may say that I am using the new version of Excel, but it is not there. If you are using the new version of Excel also, you might have not installed the Office Insider. And Office Insider is a new thing which Excel, every time when you work on Excel, Excel now is tracking which are the things which you are working, which are the things which is taking out a lot of time of yours. Where can I give a simple formulas which will take care of the complicated load? That is what the Office Insider is going to do. How do you activate the Office Insider? You click on your help menu on the top of it. You will find, you just type Office Insider. The moment you type Office Insider, you will find something, a small thing like this. For most of the new Office 365 users, it would be there. Otherwise, it's just a matter of 5 minutes to get updated your Excel. Click on the Office Insider. You will get this Join Office Insider. It's just that what is the level of your Office Insider you want to use. Just drop down and click on the Insider in it and say OK. The moment you say OK, it gets added. So you go to your
sorry to interrupt. Just a quick thing. Most of the participants are having some audio issues. They're saying that voice is cracking. Would it be possible for you to unmute once and sort of mute yourself and unmute once just to check if there's been any mic issues? Participants, we're just trying to get that rectified. So just give us a couple of minutes. Thank you. In the meanwhile, while it is being set up, so there were also a few questions which came up on how do I get started with my data analytics journey, and what is it that as a professional I can do. I am from a non-CA background, non-technical background, etc. So how is it that I am going to address that? So while Mr. Venu is setting up this context, I thought I'll add some thoughts on this particular process. I hope that will also be a good value-added, exercise. So first and foremost is who can get started with the data analytics journey? I would say anybody can get started with the data analytics journey. The only question is, am I willing to? So that's something which you have to get started with. Question number one. Question number two is, am I in a better off position, or am I in a position where I do not have too much of digital data? Can I still go ahead with the analytics? Yes, it is possible. as long as you have some basic version of data available on digital front, I think it's time we get into it. And at the same time, my dear friends, what I would also suggest is, I think we need to ensure that we start the exercise of building a digital database within ourselves or within our clients. So whatever may be the scenario, I think we'll have to focus on that, because much of these analytics can be applied only when you have the digital data. And today, availability of digital data, there is no scarcity of it, frankly speaking. The only thing is we have to just make an attempt to envisage or think through that, yes, this is necessary. On the third side, what is also important, or what is something which is necessary, which you should have an idea about it, is what are the skill sets which I need to have, and do I require too many complicated tools? And that is how we started off with very basic Excel. We started off with the Excel, and then we are slowly moving into tool by tool, and we are trying to explore through various things. So that is basically what we are approaching. And today's session is also one such initiative where we go a little more deeper into Excel. And Mr. Venu was giving us a perspective of what is going on with respect to an spreadsheet and what are the various tools which are available. Mr. Venu, if you are connected, we can get started.
Yeah. Okay. So, friends,
we are able to hear you better. You can just share your screen as well.
Yeah, I'm just sharing my screen.
Yeah, see, unfortunately, things with technology have their limitations, and since a virtual meeting is not possible, we are trying our best. Sorry, physical meeting is not possible. We are trying our best to set this up. So probably in a minute or two that will get arranged. In the meanwhile, so I was talking about the skill sets which are necessary, starting from basics of Excel. You can probably begin your journey. The next is, how do I venture into it? One simple thing is, whatever work you're doing, think that I have to start getting used to analytics. In this work I do, I have some or the other digital data. It could be a valuation. It could be, let us say, financial information. It could be something relating to modeling. It could be something relating to MIS. Whatever may be the scenario, you should have the data available with you. The moment you have data availability, please apply your mind. How can I do analysis out of it? What is the management expecting out of it? Can I do some playing around? And there are a lot of portals available online today where you can get digital data. It could be basically census information, world statistics information, and a lot of things relating to that. So a whole lot of these things you can actually do it by just analyzing this digital data, and you can actually put them into a practical perspective. Okay. So
is my voice clearly audible now?
Yeah, it's audible. Maybe you can share your screen as well. So I think we can.
Yeah, I'll share the screen. What I'm doing is I will disconnect my video so
no
that
problem.
The bandwidth can be safe.
Yeah. It looks like some bandwidth issue. You can do that, Mr. Venu.
Okay. Let me share the screen and. All right. Okay. So now, if you notice,
1 second, Venu, it's not yet come here. You'll have to just share your screen once. Just double check that. So whenever we speak on a video conference sort of a setup, earlier when we used to get started in a normal setup, we used to always check whether my mic is working, whether my am I audible, etc. In a video conference setup, you need to check all the three things. Correct. First, check whether mic testing 1, 2, 3. Right here, mic testing 1 is basically check whether your voice is visible. Second is whether your screen is visible, and third is whether your video is visible. Okay, that's on a lighter note, but just to bring it to the context. So while the setting up is taking place, so I hope I gave you an idea of how to get started with your analytics journey. And the next thing which you can do is start looking into these tools and see how you can get started with immediately. Okay, so yeah, so what we can do is, I think Mr. Venu's screen is visible now. You can get started, Mr. Venu. I think it's clear.
Yeah. So whenever we use an interruption, please call me. And I know that today somehow the bandwidth seems to be very wavering. Okay. So one thing you have to do is, after doing your Office Insider installation, you got to update your Microsoft Office. How do you update that? In your file section, when you go inside your file, you will find let me just zoom it for you. Yeah. So you will find the various things in your file section. user account, and you will see where you can account and everything here. So that you know that you are in the right place.
Venu, again, there is some issue here. Do you want to disable your video?
Oh, my video is on, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on.
You can just do that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think it's better now. You can maybe get started. Yeah.
Is the video disabled?
Yeah, video is disabled, and I think it's visible. You can go ahead.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So let me start with the basic thing, which is dynamic arrays. Now, dynamic arrays. This is, you will find the dynamic arrays coming into the Excel from the year 2018, where the formulas got better and better and better. Today, what I'm going to talk about is unique filter and sort by formulas. So the dynamic array formula which we are going to see is unique filter sort by. So these are the things which have come up, and recently XLOOKUP has come up, which is very powerful function. All right. So let's look at the data. Now, here is Excel spreadsheet. If you notice this Excel, you have a simple task which we have to do. Assuming I want to apply this value to a percentage, all that I do is C5 multiplied by D5. This is what we do. This is normally, this is what we do it. Now, when it comes to the array function, I do it as an array. When I select the data, I select all of this data, and I say I want to multiply with whole of this data. If you notice, I have selected a whole thing. I'm just doing a data entry to the first one and press. You just need to press Control Shift Enter. This is called CSE formula, Control Shift Enter. So all that you have to do is select this whole thing, whatever the formula you have written, press Control Shift Enter, you will get a desired result. Now you may ask me, saying that why do you want me to force such a complicated formula when I can derive the same thing for such a simple thing? Why should one undergo this complicated formula? I just want to introduce you. It appears to be complicated. Let us see how simple it is, how simple it makes. Let me start with data. Now, here is a data set. Here there are a lot of list of customers are there. Now, how many are there? If
Venu, sorry to interrupt. I think the audibility issue is still not resolved. We are still facing some difficulty. Would it be possible for you to, sort of restart your router or system once and try?
Just a moment. Let me just restart it.
Yeah, maybe that could help out. I'm sorry, participants. We're having some technical glitch, but I think we'll somehow try to address this. In the meanwhile, if there are some Q&As on analytics, etc., I will be happy to take it through. Questions like what is a data scientist? Questions like what is it that I need to do? This could be a fire chat session where you can drop it in the chat window, and I can go ahead with the conversation. Requesting the participants to just hang on. I'm sorry for that confusion, but I think we all have to live with this because there was also been issues with respect to heavy rain in the last couple of days, and I think that's also sort of a trouble which has been created. So I think we'll have to sort of get that thing fixed. In the meanwhile, so we were talking about the journey of data analytics. So we were talking about how and what you need to get get through. So let me start addressing your questions one by one. You can probably drop it in the chat window. Yeah. So the first question which has come from Mr. Ritesh is, for IA to make a career in data mining, which course or certification do you advise? Now, first and foremost, I'm not sure what you're referring to as the meaning of IA. If you're referring to IA as internal audit, my dear friend, yes, it is definitely a good thing to get started, because today when we do an internal audit, we are dealing with huge volumes of data, huge volumes, and the onus to a large extent is on the data which we are dealing with. How do I get the data, and do I need to verify that data, correct? So as an internal auditor, I think data analytics is a must-have skill today, because many a times internal auditors have to go that extra mile where they do 100% verification, and they may not have the disclaimers or the sort of exceptions which a statutory auditor may have. So therefore I would say that yes, you need to have an extra edge. Please try to equip yourself with data analytics. That is point number one. Point number two is, what is data mining? Okay, so data mining is a concept where I would say it's probably a branch of analytics. What happens is, if you are looking into a mining sort of a setup, you're actually going deeper and deeper into that data. When you go deeper and deeper into that particular data, you are actually going to such an extent, you are trying to mine and identify patterns. To give a very, very simple way of putting it, let's say you are in a gold mine and you need to mine that data, only then you get mine that gold, correct? So you mine it to cleanse, you clean it up, and then you have the pure gold. And it's not that immediately when you dig you get it, correct? So it takes some time. The same thing with data mining is that you have the data, it may be structured, semi-structured, as we discussed in the first session, and from that we sort of cleanse this and then actually get to know the pattern. Okay, so that's the question which I would probably answer it. One more question I'll take, the rest we'll probably take it a little in the end. I think Mr. Venu has come up on the screen. He's sort of to some extent fixed it. So what is the degree which is required to start with data science career? There is no formal qualifications as such necessary, but still there are a good number of universities who are offering it. There are a good number of online courses which are coming up on data science as such. But I would suggest that, first you need to go one by one up the ladder. Because see, with analytics, you have everything. You have Excel, you have Python, you have R, you have Power BI, everything. The question is, what tool when you want to use is very important. Like, if you remember, Mr. Mehta was mentioning yesterday as well, that, if a knife can solve your problem, why would you want to go for a gun? Correct? So that is something which I think is very important for us to understand. So in the meanwhile, Mr. Venu, is your network clear now, or you have been able to get this clarified? I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you.
Yes, now I got from the back
yeah.
to the foreground. Okay.
Okay, I think now it is set up. We are able to hear you slightly better. Things are, I think, fine. Do you want to go ahead and share your screen?
Yeah.
And maybe we might request you to start it from first, because just in the interest of participants, so that they have not missed out much. And I think I've shared your screen.
Agree. All right.
Yeah, so I will go on the backstage, and you can put yourself onto the screen and you can get started. Just zoom the screen a little more so that the visibility is there. Wonderful. We are starting from beginning, my dear friends, so do not worry about it.
Okay. So anyhow, this is just a first formula of the dynamic arrays, which I want to say. Dynamic arrays appears to be complicated, but it is not as complicated. I'll just simplify for it. Let us take a simple example. I just want to multiply this data with this set of data. In a normal traditional way, all that we do is I will say this multiplied by this, and I copy this till all the way down. This is what I do, double click everything. But in a array formula, all that I do is I want the data to be copied to this. I select the data which I want to do. Select this is the set of cells which I want to multiply with this set of cells. If I just hit an enter, it will show some error. All that I have to do is Control Shift Enter. This is called, let me just zoom it further. Now, this formula which you are seeing is a plain formula, but if you see here on the screen in the formula bar, you will find this formula as in a flower bracket. You are seeing this as a formula in the flower bracket, which means it is a Control Shift Enter. It is CSE formula. That is why it is coming in a flower bracket. Now, why is it the coming in a flower bracket? But when you look at the formula here, when you look at in the formula in the edit mode, you wouldn't find it, but you would find it in the formula bar because it is a Control Shift Enter formula. Now here is some data where I select the category, I automatically get the details. We think we are using a VLOOKUP. I will come back little later. How do we use the spreadsheet formulas? Let's start with unique. I have list of data. I have list of people where I want to find unique list in this. I want to find unique list in it. Now, how many people are here? Totally, there are roughly, you see, there are 19 people, but how many are unique? The unique is 14. How do we get the unique thing? Firstly, I need to count how many people are there in the whole of this. I'm just applying a simple COUNTIF formula in the whole of this range. How many people are there? Once I apply the COUNTIF formula, I want to get the unique thing. So I divide 1 divided by this. So I get a base. A sum total of it is 14. If I have to do it in a single straight formula, all that I would do is I will do a sum product. I can just show you. I will do a sum product of this. And how am I doing a sum product? 1 divided by COUNTIF. You know, you got to count if this data, you got to count this data, and the criteria is also the same thing. You want to count each one is there, how much time you are counting that, and you get this formula, right? What you have to do it now, you got the 14, not just 14. I want the name of these people. How do I get? I have to do an index match. I have to apply an index match, wherein I index the whole of this data and match it with the data which is there with this. Now, how do I do this? Let us just start working on it. Here is a formula which I have written. It looks the complicated formula, but as we look at it, it is going to be a pretty simple thing. Now, how am I doing it? Let me just apply the formula for you. You have to say, yeah, actually, any of this Excel file would be shared for you, for your reference. You have to say this index. Now, I want to get the list of this here. In this data, once I get, what do I want to do? I want to match. I want to match, and my lookup value will be 0. I'll explain you why it is 0, because you are going to look for a specific thing. Now, where is that you are looking? Where is that you are looking is an important thing. So the lookup value here, you are looking the data. Now you have to apply a COUNTIF, a simple COUNTIF formula. Now this I have to look an incremental. I do not want the same thing to get repeat. So I look from here this data to this data. So as I go down, I have to make it as data which is not going. So all that we have to do in our COUNTIF, we will make sure that the data is always intact. So to make it intact, you need see that it is in a point. I'm just going to edit mode. I am freezing the first position. I am freezing my first position, and my criteria where I am checking this is the original data set. Here is where I am checking this. This is the criteria where I am checking. So I got the lookup where I want to look. What is my match type? My match type is unique and exact match. And this is what I want to give. All right. Now, let us drag this formula all the way down to now start getting the unique list. As we go down, we get the unique list. Can you see that unique list has come up? If I change this from Venu Go, I make this as Venu. Now data automatically travel navigated. I have applied in this a simple if error formula so that this kind of errors don't crop up. So if it is if error, just give a blank cell. So when I copy how much ever the data range is, it is just going to be a blank. Like this Giri Prasad, I make it as Uveno, it automatically went off. Now you might be wondering how did all this come up? Let me just explain you the formula. If you look at it, whenever you want to do a formula, you can just select anything and go to the formula or edit it, right? So you can click on this. What is that I was trying to look? This is a lookup array. There is something called formula audit. You can always audit the formula. You can go to formulas and evaluate, or just hit this F9. Now, if you look at it, what did it do? It immediately gave the result for it. Now, it tried to see how much of this, basically 0, 1 is a denomination, is a presentation of uniqueness of the data, whether it is true or false. In fact, if you see here in your match, when you are giving here, it is asking match type, whether you want to give 1 is 0 is an exact match. True, in VLOOKUP also we use true or false, or 0 or 1, right? 0 is always an indication of an exact match. This is how we have done. Some of you might have found it like completely zoop way towards the head. That is where the Excel said, now these kind of formulas are complicated, it is not working. And by the way, if in case if this function did not work for you, you are using 97 to 2003 version of an Excel, it won't work plain. You have to use Control Shift Enter. It is a CSV formula then. Now, what did the dynamic arrays have done? It has done pretty simple job for us. The new formula is not this complicated at all. All that I will do is I will say I need unique data. I need unique data of my thing. There is a function called unique. I just enter unique, and this is the data. This is the data. I just close and say enter. It automatically gave all the unique numbers. Now I can also say give me unique numbers if it is appearing only once. If it is appearing more than once, I don't want that. It also has a feature by column. I can say this, I will make it as false. Return me only if it is unique, otherwise no. Exactly once I want it, give it as true. And can you see it? Given that Venu has repeated 3 times, it is not coming. But if I make it as Venu G, it now comes into my data list. This is such a simple formula. Now, if I want all the things in this unique list, I just apply unique, a simple unique, or I will say false and false. Instead of the false and true, here I said false and true. I said instead of getting only unique, here I say true, even if that it is appearing more than once, just give me the first one. I am saying I am getting all the data. So I can set how I want. I can set the data. Now, this is a simple unique, and this both are one and the same. The data has now got unique way. The next thing which we have to do is sorting of the data. If I have to sort my data, always we select the data. If I have to sort this data, if I say this as my serial number and this is the data, and if I have to sort this, and I have to go to data sort and select which is the column which I want to sort by. Now the Excel made it simple. Let's look at how do I sort data. Yeah. Okay. So here is my customer name, and let's say there is an age. I just built a small rand function, rand between some 25 and 52. Let's look at the age of the people. Now I want to sort this data. A plain sorting of the data. So plain sorting of the data is I can get the unique data and sort of it. Let me sort the data by age. Let me sort the data by age, and let me do it for you. So this is a formula which is sort by. You have to sort by, give an array. Then in our data sort, you have multiple sorts. Even here you can do multiple sort by ascending, descending, or if the same thing has multiple, how do I do? Name and age. Let's apply sort by. Okay, let me first make this values so that the data doesn't jump every time. Yeah. Use this formula called sort by, wherein what is that you want to sort by? You want to sort by, this is the array. Then you want to sort by what? First you want to sort by age. You can say, okay, sort by age. Then the sort order, whether 1 is ascending, -1 is descending. So sort by 1. And you can actually go like this, multiple sorts. I can give how much ever the thing, I can give the data in it. Now if you see this, let me extend this. Yeah. So now I brought age and yeah. Now if you see this is the data it has sorted by the age, because in my sort I have given the sort by order as age. I give -1 and now it has sorted by age. I can also sort this by column A. I can sort by the thing. So now the data has automatically sorted. So now you might have the data at a different place. You are getting the data, and you can also get a unique data. In your sort by, you can apply this formula. First get filter and get the unique data, and then do the sort. Even that is also permitted. So you are able to sort the data, and instead of applying the every time data sort, you can just do it in one go. Especially those who are preparing the dashboards and reports, this is useful. Next, filters. How do I apply filters? If I want to get a large set of data, all that I do is I apply filter. I will say the sales between this month to this month, or this date, or select a category, or various things. So I select this couple of things and I say this is the thing, and where the quantity I will say more than 500. All the various things we apply to get one result. Later again the results go. But if I want to have a dynamic way of filter, let us say I want to filter by category. Let us say I want to filter by category. Now here I am going to show data validations also. First let me get the unique list of category. How do I get a unique list of category? I have a simple formula which we saw. I will say unique and this is the data I want, the unique. So I got the unique category list. Now in my drop down, I am giving a data validation alt DL. My source is O4 onwards. Tomorrow the data exceeds, it will automatically increase. So I have given O4 hash. If you look at it, I have given O4 hash so that tomorrow, as and when the data is moving up, it can take care of it. Now I have given my list. If you notice, I am selecting coffee, or let's say chocolate cookie, Albert's shipping only. Let's look at, let's just sort this data, and okay, let's select whatever which we can see the thing. Oh, okay. I'm searching product name. I have to search for category. Okay, let's look at the category as Save Mart. Okay, let's look at the Save Mart category. I am picking the Save Mart. The moment I pick the Save Mart, you see the data of Save Mart has come automatically. The data of Save Mart has come automatically. There is absolutely no issue at all. How did it happen? I have applied a simple formula called filter. I have applied a simple formula called filter. Now, what is that formula? Let me just do it for you. The formula is filter. And what do I want to filter? I want to filter this data. Now, a very important is, okay, filter, which category I'm filtering? Like I need to filter by what? So here I'm filtering by category. So select this, filter by this. If this is equal to, if this category, anything in this category is matching to this, if anything in the category is matching to this, you give it. What if in case there are errors, it is missing? If something is empty, what do I do? Okay, you can give a text file that data is missing. And period, done, boom. So with just one function, can you see automatically the data has it has come. So you can just use this, especially in your MIS dashboards, everything. You just select the data, it automatically dynamically moves. This is the advantage of applying filters. That's how people use the filters. So with this we have completed our first thing which we have to do in the discussion for the day, which is on the formulas and the dynamic arrays. Now you noticed, if I had to do it in the traditional way, how complicated I have to write this index match and loop it, all those things, that has taken out. It has become pretty simple and straightforward. The next formula we will be looking at, is on the data validations. I'm sure most of you might be already using the data validations. So let me show up the simple things how to use the data validations. Firstly, in the data validation, so how do you get the data validations? In your Excel, you have your keyboard shortcut as Alt DL. You can use Alt DL as a data validation, or you can navigate to your data section. You will find the thing called data validation. Click on the data validation. You will get a box something like this, where you can give any value, whole number, decimal, list, all those things. That is what I'm going to show you. Now, how do we use it? Firstly, I want to enter a data anything between 10 and 20, which means I can enter 15, 16, 20, 19, but let me enter 49. It says it is not matching the data which you are entering. You can just do, let me just zoom the screen for you so that, yes. Okay. So let me go to the data validation. If you go to the data validation, I have given here, select a whole number between 10 and 20. And in case if it is something happening, I am saying if they are entering something wrong, I am saying stop, that you are entering a wrong thing, right? So that is what I have done. So if the data is between this 10 to 20, it will come. Now people use for application or various other things. You can give your data from one level to other level. In the data validation here, if you notice my data input, instead of 10 and 20, the whole number, I have said I3 and I4. I have said I3 and I4. So which means minimum I want user to enter I3, maximum I4. So users have to do a data entry within this range bracket between 25 and 100. So if I'm entering 26, fine, 27, fine. Now let me 108, which is beyond 100. Now it says you have to enter the value which is between level 1 and level 2 only. So it can stop. So what does that mean? We can show an input message. We can put a validation. The moment I select this cell, there is nothing coming up. But I come here and it says, please input a value less than 100. How did it come? In your data validation, you can also give an option of people asking what should be the message you want to put. Please input the value which is less than 100 only. I'm just setting up whatever I want to give. So in your data validation, you can also set what is the data you want to allow people to validate. Even that can be set up. Even that can be set up. We have seen error alert. The data can be decimals also. You can enter the data in the decimals. The value which you are setting up, you can enter saying that it can be whole number or it can be a decimal number, anything between 3 to 3.9. You can ask the user, I do not want points, or you can say the users, okay, it between this point to this point, you can do the data entry. You can ask the users to do both of that. Next, listing of the data. So for example, you have users to choose yes, no, maybe. In our earlier examples, I had user to choose only the data which is there in the category list. So how do I get the listing of the data? Now in my data validation, I said the source should be either yes, no, or NA. So the moment I come here, I can see these three as my drop down. I can see this as my drop down. So users can enter only this. If I type yes, it is okay, but it is saying that the yes which I have defined is little different. So this yes is permitted, this yes is not permitted. Can you see that it is looking at exact value which has been defined? Not just this, I can restrict users to go up to to do a data entry between two ranges. I can say use the data entry. User can do a data entry. Especially you're using the Excel template as an input sheet for marks card or the voucher entry. You can say if the data entry is between this date to this date, you can do it. You can also make this as a dynamic wherein you can link the start date to a value which is there in a cell, end date to another cell, and it can automatically do that. So the validation can be done with the date also. Date, time is there. You can do the validation to the time, saying that the office timings is between this PM to this PM. User can do their clock in time between this to this only. They can do a data entry. After that, the data entry can be restricted to it. You can also restrict it from the typing length. This is Sunday. It says you cannot enter so much value. The characters which you have to enter is also restricted. I can restrict the characters one can enter. I can say minimum 2 characters one have to enter. Maximum they can enter 5 characters. I can put a restriction in that fashion also. More than all that, I can build my own formulas, my own thing. Here I have just created a simple validation list saying that the user has to do a data entry of number only. If I say n, it says it is not a number. What did I do? In my the allow list, I have given a custom. And I have applied a formula. So users can also say that, okay, instead of the list, I want to create a formula and said. So here it said is number C6. If it is true, then it works. If it is false, it doesn't work. You can do things in that way also. So it works in validating the data. Now, users can also sometimes permit the people to do a data entry. You sent a sheet, you forgot to check whether it is within the valid data range or not. Now, here is a situation where the data has come to me from a different sources. I did not do a data validation then. I am now applying the data validation. I am saying the data, the value in the number should be between 10 and 20. The value in the number should be between 10 and 20. However, I am putting an error alert saying instead of stop, I will put a warning saying that you go ahead and do it, but it is a wrong data. So later for you to do an audit, or a data which has come, you are applying a filter later. Now, in the whole set of data, in the large set of data, how do I find which is an invalid data? How do I do it? In my data validation, you also find something called circle invalid data. The moment you click on it, can you see wherever the data is not between 10 and 20, it automatically has circled. If you can see this, it has automatically circled the data where it is not between 10 and 20, the system has circled it. So the data validation is a powerful tool. When while you are doing analytics, it can automatically apply and it will show the results to you. As I said, I'll give you a link where you can download all these files, but best thing, you build your Excels for you. You look at this video, you put your data and see, you will get an idea. Nothing can beat the experience. Learn yourself. That is on the second tip on the data validation. Let's move on. The third point of the discussion for the day is data modeling and interactive visualization. So let me take one file where we build a chart or a graph, a pivot chart, a pivot graph. I'm sure most of you know how to put a pivots and pivot graphs and pivot things. But I'm doing little different here. If you look at it, there is a data. I select a vendor. The vendor name has come. The graph for vendor has come. I select another vendor. Now that vendor has come. The data for that vendor has come, and the graph changed. I am selecting Dell. I'm selecting HP. So can you see it is changing? The values are changing. Graph is changing. It looks like that something magical happening. How is it possible where I'm just selecting something and automatically the data is changing? I just selected Motorola. The graph for Motorola has come. Different data has come. I might select it here, or the other way I can do it here is in my dashboard to the management. I can give a drop down. They select the Dell. They get a Dell graph. They select. So here is a Motorola. They select Motorola. They get a Motorola graph. So how is this data coming dynamically? So let me take you to the data first. This is my data. This is my data where I have huge set of data from different columns, from column A to column U, and whenever you are navigating between the data, you should always ensure you freeze the headers. So that you can see what the data is. Now, how do I get the data for it? Or I have built a small set of okay, in the interest of times, I'm not going to explain you with the pivots, but let me explain you with this how we got a data for the sales thing. Okay, here is a simple set of data. Okay, here is the data. Let me take this data to a different sheet and explain you how we can build the graph. So let me just remove the grid lines, and here is the data. Let me see how do we build the graph. We all know how to use a simple VLOOKUP. So all that I am doing is I am taking this headers, and this is the name of the party. All right. So first, let me get the name of the party dynamically. Let me get the name of the party dynamically. How do I get it? One way I can do is data validation, but I want to do even more better. I use this developer tab, and I will insert a new control. You will find there are a lot of controls which are available. I am picking this which is saying list box. Select that and I get me the list. I got a list. For those of you who do not have the developer tab, you can click on custom. You can click on your ribbon, customize your ribbon. You will get into this customize ribbon. Most of the times, this developer tab wouldn't have got activated. Just click on this developer tab and activate it for yourself. So the developer tabs come. Here is what the data has come for me. Here is what the data has come. So now what I am doing is I'm just moving to the right side. I am moving to the right side and getting the data for you. So I'm putting the data here. The first thing. Now I want the data. So all that I have to do is apply a VLOOKUP. Let me apply a VLOOKUP to this Rama Traders in whole of this. In whole of this, let me get a VLOOKUP for Rama Traders. And once I get that, then I want the column index. Let me give the column index as this and give me then exact match. So the column index here would be 2. So can you see the value for 2 has come automatically? Now we just need to expand to all the months. So this is plus. All right. So let me just copy the formula. One thing one has to be very clear when they are applying the formula, you got to freeze the cells. You got to, otherwise when you copy, the data gets moved to, it becomes heavy. So you got the data for all the months automatically. So instead of Rama Traders, now say it becomes Hindware. So automatically Hindware data comes up. You can see automatically Hindware data comes. So with the change in the supplier, data is now changing. Now next thing we want to do is we just want to insert a graph to it. We want to insert a graph to it. You just say recommended chart. You go and select it. It will automatically give you a graph. So you got a graph, whatever you wanted, it is visible. You can add a layout. You can put a data table. You can do all that, whatever you want. Now, how do I make it dynamic? So to the chart, to the developer thing which you have added, let us get the data. Right click on this, click on format control, and what is my input range? Input range is this list. These are the people. This is my input range, right? From Rama Traders to this is my input range. And where should I give my output of the selected cell? I say give the output of selected cell here. Okay. All right. So now the moment you see it, I select Rama Traders, Hindware, whatever I am selecting, the data is coming. Let me now zoom it for you. Whatever I select, the serial number is coming automatically there. All that I have to do is now just link the supplier. Just we look up this data, and give me the supplier. All right. So now, whatever the thing which I am selecting, that data is coming. So the graph has become dynamic. Now the graph has become dynamic. So when you are presenting this to the management, now the dashboard has become an interactive dashboard. From a standard dashboard, it has become a very interactive dashboard. This is how all that you can do is now, since you know that you don't need this, you can just hide it, or you can just put it, apply the white color. Now you know that the data is not visible here. So you selecting anything, automatically the values are changing. This is how one can build an interactive dashboard. We all saw pivot tables and pivot charts. Now this is little beyond that. You can also build a spark lines within the pivots. I will come in at the end the data validation if the time permits. But this is how one can build an interactive data validation sheet. Moving on to the fourth one, which is on customizing and preparing macros for yourself and do it your macros. So firstly, when you are doing a macros or anything, you should also, it's not that you should become an expert in macros. You only need to know how the macros function, what you have to do. If you notice, I have given you some modules and some Google search code, and the what link comes, and I'll show you how do you do exactly copy paste of it. Let me open some of the macro files. And if you notice here, there are macros which I have already written and where the data is Google searched, and I'm just getting the data based on the search of the Google. First thing, I want to get list of the files which are there in a folder. I want to get list of files which are there in a folder. So how do I get? I just go to my Google and I say, here is a keyword I have just, you need to know the thing which is required to you is how do I search? Okay. Now I want list of files in a folder. Then I need to type it as VBA. All right. So you get the various codes. I have just picked the first thing. In fact, all that I did is, you can see this link which has come up here. This is the link which I've just copied and put it in your Excel for your reference. I just copied and put the first one. And you can, as you navigate, it will show you that, okay, this is the code. All that you do is you just copy this, and come back to your Excel, right click on this sheet, go to view code, and there are various modules which I have created. You can just go to get list of files, you can just paste it. This is what I have done. All that I did is copied the data from the cloud and pasted it. Now people who are using the macros, you need to know, you need to get into tutorials, understand some basics how it works. Now here let me say whatever the files which are there in this folder, I want to get the list of the files which are there in this folder. All that I am doing is I'm just copying this folder here and I execute this. I've just deleted the existing data. I execute this. Automatically it has listed all these Excel files, whatever which I've just copied the PPT Excel files in this sheet. It has automatically listed it for me. If one has to do manually, it is going to be a tough job. It is definitely going to be a tough job, and this system is going to do it in a very simple and easy way. Let me okay, let me do the next thing is get list of ledgers. Hopefully this has this has a very small data. Let me pick something where the data is large. Okay, I will pick something where there is a large set of data. Even this is less, that's okay. So let me pick some data to give you an understanding. Now I want to get the tally is open in the background, and I want to get list of ledgers which are there and what is the group and nature of the group, everything. So how do? I have created a simple thing called get the list of bulk list of ledger master. So there is a code which I have written just to get the list of ledger master. So I can do it. So I just created a button. Can you see here something called a test? I just created a test. So I have created my own customized ribbon, customized button. In fact, there are two ways of doing it. One way you can do is you can go to your customized ribbon. You can start creating a new tab. You can click on new tab. You can add macros to it. Then other way doing, I use a custom UI font where I can give the font and everything. I'll show you both. One way is in this, you can just create as a new tab. You can just rename this new tab as Excel training. And in the new tab, I can give a new group. I can say new group, we can say as day 1, and I can give even the color combination to it, some icon to it, and now can you see it? There's an Excel training which I have created. So we can create, I haven't created an object. We can do further this way. Now in this, I have created my own something called ledger master. The moment I do it, it has connected back. There is only one ledger which is enabled there. So it has connected and said, okay, this is the ledger, and got it. So let me just, this is just a demo. Let me see if there is anything which has large set of data where you can. Right. So this is a huge set of data. So it has yeah, 33,000 transactions and more number of list. Now I can just I can now run this ledger master. Now it is taking time to connect all the ledgers, and the advantage of this customized macro which we have written is you are getting, okay, sorry, for the purpose of demo I just truncated the list. Let me get the an easy way of doing it for you. Okay, now Tally has the advantage of SQL commands. In the code, if you see here, let me zoom it. In the code, if you see here, I am writing a code where I am executing an SQL command, and I am fetching this data from the Tally. How is this happening? In the Tally, you also has a natural thing. In the Tally, you say cash, it will give you cash balance. Like that, I am saying select star from ledger. So it will take a time because there is a lot of the list of ledgers, and it is now going to give all the ledgers. It is going to give the ledger closing balance, ledger type of balance, ledger parent, customer address, whatever you can see in the ledger master list. It is going to give all the data. You can see here display menu, there is a natural language it has processed, and the arguments you will find it here. Can you see here 321 more columns and 27 more columns here? So more than 400 columns and more than 1600 attributes you are able to see. But what is relevant to us is only a smaller set of data. So all that we in the command which I have written here is I only want a smaller set of details. So I said I need ledger name, the ledger primary group, ledger parent. Okay, I did not give the parent name. I have given the primary. There is a, can you see that there is an error in the spelling error which is there? Let's just fix this That is why it did not recognize. So I will say parent. Yeah. Now I execute it. So I got, now you can see I got my ledger name, the ledger parent, and primary group. In fact, by looking at it, the moment it is no, it is a P&L item, is deemed positive, yes or no. If it is yes, it is a debit. So you know P&L debit is expenditure, P&L credit is income. You can also, by in a single click, you can classify whether it is an income, asset, liability category. And this data, you can just run a query and fetch this data directly back into your Excel file. So though in my presentation, I have given you the various files, various examples for the code, you can copy it and do it. Now, some of the things you should also know is how do you do the macro for yourself. Let's say that you are doing a recurring steps, and one of the simple recurring steps, let me say text to Excel. This is a text file which I want to convert it into Excel. Now how do I do it? I generally, we go here and we browse, we get the, let me get the folder, select all files, get the file which you want, and you apply delimit. You know, if there is a delimiter, you can say delimiter. I find a delimiter here. There is a pipe which exists as a delimiter, and say finish. You can see all the data which is there, which converts everything into the text to columns has come. This is how we just do a data filtering of text to columns, right? But if this is a step which you repeat, if this is what you will have to do on a regular basis, on a daily basis, or there is a large set of data which you have to do, this is what you have to do. How can you do it, right? So there is a concept called recording a macro. There is a concept called recording a macro, where on click of it, it will be happening. Let me show it for you. And let me also just let me show it for you how to add buttons where you can set a macros. I'm just adding a simple thing, say open file. Let's say this as a simple thing where we want to open the data which is there, and this is like a recurring function which you have to do. All that you have to do is you have to create a macro. And how does it happen? On this left corner, you are seeing a button, a radio button. This is for your creating. No macros are currently recording. Click here to begin a new recording of the macro. So all that you do is just click here. It starts recording. You say open file macro. I just created something. You can give a shortcut to. And all that I now, what is it doing? Everything which I am now doing, it is memorizing and it will do by itself. I will open a file, give browse, then it knows where I am browsing. Navigate here, select this file, say open, it comes into this mode. Now this data is using a delimiter. Select the delimiter and press the delimiter as this pipe and finish. All right. So the macro got recorded. Now, can you see that the macro is recording? So I will now say that, okay, stop recording. Click here to stop recording. So the macro recording has stopped. All right. The macro which was getting recorded, it stopped. Now let's see how is the macro. You can right click or press Alt F11. It comes. You will see in the list of modules there is something called module 1, and the macro which the system automatically created called open file macro. So it did whatever I did. It has exactly done the same way. Now all that I have to do is this button which I have added. I will add a macro to it, saying assign a macro. Can you see here that there is a button thing called assign a macro? Click on this, and I want to assign this open file macro. I want to assign open file macro to it. So you can build your own set of macros. Now everything is done. If you notice here, there is only one Excel file which is open. All that I'll do is I click this. It now connects to that backend, that file, and the magically, you see, magically this has connected the data in the backend automatically. Automatically in the backend, it has connected all the data, and now you can see that we have a large set of data which is available automatically. If I have to, if this is what one does on a recurring basis, you can record this macro and you can just save the macro code. You can hit the macro code and do it. And this is useful, especially those who are processing a regular routine job. This is the activity, you know, this is what you are going to do on a regular basis. Then you can just record this macros, save it, and hit that button. It does automatically. I did not navigate, I did not do anything. So once you start learning how to apply these macros, there are n number of things which you can do. And trust me, with Excel, the limitation in the Excel is not what an Excel can do. The limitation in Excel is what you think that Excel can do. What you want from Excel is actually available in Excel. In fact, tomorrow in Rafiq sir session, you will see on the ECAT and TCAT, there are wonderful tools like this. So you can actually build the tools, something like this, and you can create your own on click of this. What is the action you want to do? You can just slowly start doing, and you can build your own set of data. And there is humongous the macros which are there outside in the world. What you are doing regularly, you can take it and put it. In fact, the popular the macro utilities which people, those who are serious users of Excel, you add in called ASAP utilities. So the moment you add ASAP, there are a lot of features like merge tools, create index, all those things are available which you can do it for yourself. So friends, this is what I have to do. I have only, in the interest of time, I have only shown you one, but I've just copied different the keyword which I have used for it, and what is the link there. I have only picked the first link. You can actually search. There would be many other things that would be available also. So with this, I come to the end of the presentation. So I thank Narasimhan for actually taking up such a wonderful course series where he brought in some basics of the Excel, then the advanced version. And tomorrow we are going to see how do we automate and do large set of data auditing. And those who are a serious data analyst, you should definitely try on R and Python. They are statistically superb tools, and especially when you want to publish the data on the cloud and various things, that also helps. So with this, I conclude my presentation, and there is this link here. All those Excel files which I have worked, I just put it in one folder there. You can click on this link and sign up and take the data files also. With this, I come to end of the presentation. So Narasimhan, over to you.
Thank you so much, Venu, for bringing in so many topics in a span of 1 hour. I think that itself is commendable, you know, starting from dynamic arrays to do-it-yourself macros. I think a whole lot of these things have come up. So I think participants have got an idea and perspective, even though initially I think there was some technical glitch, but I think the flow went on wonderful. There are a few questions which are coming up, and I'll probably post them onto your screen. You can just see that, and you quickly sort of answer them. So there was this one question, if you can probably give some bit of clarity, because some participants lost out. This was a general question. How do I decide when to use unique and that array? What is that concept? So that fundamental concept, a few of them are still, perhaps it could have been because of the network glitch. If you could just read it, what is array? When do we use array? When do I use that unique? And what are the traditional methods I use? What is the advantage of this? So if you can just throw some light on that.
Sure. Yeah. Also, the question is not coming up on the screen. Maybe you have to select.
Yeah. No, these were a
yeah.
summary of few questions. I will just post the
Yeah.
questions. Yeah.
All right. So now let me just show you that the file which I have opened back there, and I'm just opening the file.
Sure.
All right. Okay. Now, array is set of data, and especially to those who are working on R and Python, you will start working on vectors where matrix data in a data in a data in data. Okay. Now here is a set of data which is there, especially in your audits. Let's look at you're doing a sales audit or a purchase audit. You have list of all the transactions. Now if you have to know who is the person to whom the sales are happening, first you need to know who are the list of customer. The vouchers is a full set of data, but you need to know who are the list of customers. List of customer is a unique set of data in the large set of data. Now how do you extract list of customer? Even the way generally we do is we apply a pivot to the whole data and we get the customer name and we get the sales. But what if you do not want to apply a pivot? You want to apply a simple sum if. You want to apply a simple sum if, count if, various things. Every time you do not want to do a drag and drop. To apply a simple sum if, you still need to know list of the people who are unique in it. In a traditional way, this unique formula has come now. If I have to do a traditional way, then I have to follow up this index match. What does the index match is doing? First, in the moment I say index, it says takes the whole set of data, that is an array. Then I am trying to apply a match with the previous record to this record. If you notice in this formula, in the formula of my let me zoom in the formula here, I have in the index match, in my count if formula, my start point I have frozen, but my end point I have not frozen, which means as I am going down, I am also trying to read if this name is appearing again in the past, then it will count if. And as you count if, you will find in the match 00000 with 0 somewhere as 1. But I'm trying to find it only for zeros. If I find everything as zeros only, then I will populate. If I'm finding anywhere as 1, I will ignore. So there is a science to this, but the intention is I want to get the unique list. But the problem is this index and match we forget. We tend to forget because we don't use it regularly. Second, VLOOKUP itself is like kind of a tiresome formula. So to counter argument to this, the Excel has come up with this simple formula called unique. OT.
Thank you. That's, I think, very clear. There's one more, I think it's a basic question, but nevertheless worth answering it so that it's clear. How do we create a drop down in Excel? And I'm presuming now you're able to see my questions.
Yes, I can see the thing. So how do I create a drop down in the Excel? Now here is my data. Here is my data list. So there are multiple ways of creating a drop down. I can use by a name range. All right. So here is the data. I select this data, and this data I can just say the range to it. I can assign a range to it. I can say that okay, these are my customers. All right. So or I go to formulas and there is name manager. In your formulas there is a name manager. I can just select the name manager. In my name manager, I can just create a new name, and the new name is customers. There are multiple ways, and all that I have to get is my list. The data drop down comes from the validation, Alt DL, the shortcut. What is my input? Input I'm saying is list. The source, I have created a new thing called customer. I will say okay, I get my list. If you do not know how to create the name thing, you can directly in your list, in your drop down, you can say give me a list. My source of list is this. My source of list is this. In either case, the data is available in your dropdown. That's how one would do it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So some person was also of the view that in Office 365, that icon, they were not able to notice it.
Try it, do it slowly, you will find it. And
Wonderful.
Still not available, go to your Office, file, account, click on that Office updates, and you will get it. If I am getting it, you will get it. I am using Office 365, you are using Office 365.
So I only think, the earlier version, there was a separate tab called as data validation. Now it's become as an icon, or, within the, yeah,
use the
maybe because
and
of that.
This is Google. You say in Google Excel shortcut data validation, it will show Alt DL. Just pick it up and do it.
Wonderful. So this is an interesting question. I think the context of this question was when you were trying to show that dashboard.
Yeah. So what are the advantages of using this over the pivot tables and the pivot charts? Whenever you are trying to use the data in a pivot tables and pivot charts, you have to create a table. Now, you have to keep customizing your pivot charts and the multiple pivot tables and multiple charts you have to do. But when I'm just dragging and creating an index, it is a presentation thing. Anything in Excel, the same thing can be done in 3-4 different formulas and different methods. But when you are using, getting away from pivots, but if you use a sum if, count if, say, why do we use the immediate window? We select the data on the top below, we look at sum, count, average. We want to get some functions immediately. Now, pivot cannot be a solution all the time. I want to know the turnover by customer. I can just apply a simple sum if. Likewise, I want a dynamic graph, all the way creating a pivot, and on top of it creating a chart. This looks pretty simple, but both are one and the same.
Wonderful. This is a slightly related question.
Yeah. So can we use slicers to make it interactive? Very much. Slicers are available from 2003 version onwards. So if you are using, people should be aware in pivots, slicers are there. Slicers can be used. As I said, multiple ways of doing it. Yes, slicers can be used.
Wonderful. So I think those were the major questions, and a few of them were asking on how do I get the access to that file, etc. So maybe you can just share that message in the chat window. You can just send me, in the chat window, because they were not able to capture it. I will just post it over here. You can just copy and paste it there.
Yeah, one second.
Okay, and participants, if you have any more questions, we'll be happy to answer it. Otherwise, we would like to conclude the session in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So I think one clarification is that with respect to this repeating the macro. Okay, so there is some clarifications. I'll just quickly post it on that. Please share the link. Need to see the repeat for macros.
YouTube, you can always watch it and see how to repeat the macros. You want me to show it once again?
No, I think this also has a playback version, right? Because for interest of time, we will just keep it this is again a clarification. Mr. Girish Maru is asking.
Macro learning recording is available from 97 version. Excel 97 also you find you have macro recording.
Great. This is one other question. I'm not too clear on this. Can we connect after the source? I am a data analyst enthusiast. I'm not too sure what he is trying to ask.
You can go to the data, and there are different types of data sources where you can connect it, ODBC and everything. In the interest of time, I've just not explained it. What you have, the SQL connector, I can, in the macro, I've just given you that shows the same source. I've copy pasted and executed. In the Excel file, you can also find the source link.
Okay, this is a nice comment in appreciation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I should thank the participants.
All right. So this is a slightly a different question. Import and exporting of macro.
Very simple. On the macro, just right click on the module. You will have this option of export. You can just, best thing, it's a text file, copy text, copy and paste. That's how you can do an import and export.
Wonderful. So there's again compliments to you, sir.
Thank you, Ritesh.
Our very own Kotha Srinivas sir has also been attending. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your valuable feedback.
Good to see Kotha sir actually being there in the session. Thank you, Kotha sir.
Okay, I think this is somebody also was trying to clarify. So what we are also seeing is we are seeing many of the people while they are listening to our videos, they're also answering the questions posted by other participants, which is also a welcome because many of them see, Excel is one thing where I may have a different way of using it, you may have a different way. In fact, if both of us read from the same school, the way we do it also is going to be different. Correct? Yeah. Yes. And there's one other, I think I would like to reiterate what you were mentioning with Ms. Girish Maru also said. Excel has no limitation, but user has limitation. I think that's really nice.
Right.
Couple of more compliments. This is something on Python.
You should definitely, Sneha, ask this question to the DeFi speaker. But let me put it in this way. There are different mobile phones. You have iPhone, which is using the App Store is different from the Google. The Play Store is different. Now, can I use that? Can I use this? See, it is a GUI. If you see in the Excel, which I have done, you have seen on the top of it ledger import. Now, ledger import, I have created it. If I give you that Excel file, it is like a Tableau. It is already done and you are pressing that button. Or the interactive graph which we have seen, there is a pivot, you drag and drop, the graph got built. Back of it, Excel has written a code for it. Now, Python and R, you will create a code for it. Then you may say that, why do I write all the code? I will take to Tableau. Well, you pay for it and take it. Python and R is an open source. There are people who always want to do something on their own. If you want to do it on or you should do it. Between Python, R and Tableau would do the same things. Yes, they do the same things.
Wonderful. I think well said. The formula unique is not available in my Excel.
You got to follow the steps which I have given. Office Insider, you need to activate it. Only then it will come up.
There's one more compliment.
Yes, thank you, Kamlesh.
This is my good friend Padmanabhan from Trivandrum.
Very good, Padmanabhan sir. I think many participants are there today, I guess.
Yeah, we had at least about 300 odd people live, and now towards the end, right? So many of them would have.
Would have dropped off. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, this is one very nice feedback. I think this is what we were looking at.
Yes, definitely. As you time proceeds, 20 hours will become 2 minutes. So the power of macros, power of Excels, and there are lots to learn. Trust me, what I know is minuscule. There are lots to learn.
Okay, this is a question from Sandeep.
Why can't we apply filter to all the sheets in a workbook simultaneously? Now, you cannot do, you can write a macro can apply all the filters simultaneously.
Very good. I think that clarifies.
Yeah, Jignesh, you become developer only one day, but all your reports will becoming automated. So client always feels that you are doing it every day for him.
And very important, don't reveal the secret. Okay. So this is, I think, an overall compliment for this initiative. Thank you so much, Sambamurthy, sir. Wonderful. So I think that's the mostly the comments which we have received. So once again, thank you all the participants. We apologize, there was an initial hiccup, but I think that's how technology is. But at the end of the day, show acha tha. That is what I think is most important. Thank you so much, Venu sir, for bringing that thought process. And the fact that he said, something which is a key takeaway from his session, I personally took it as that the limitation exists only in the human's mind and not definitely in Excel. So I think it's a question of only we have to use it repeatedly. For those of you who are asking the link for downloading, downloading that files, I have just posted on the chat window, so you will be able to pick it up. I will also mention this beneath the video, which will be there online. And for all the friends, the video link is the same. This will continue to be remain the same YouTube channel. You can always go visit that either the YouTube channel, or you can visit that link through which you have got the access. You will definitely be able to view this multiple times and of course make use of it. On that note, thank you so much, Mr. Venu. So tomorrow we are meeting once again with a very exciting session, and that is by CA Abdul Rafiq, or Abdul Rafiq sir, or Rafiq sir, who as we popularly call. He is one other very knowledgeable person, and at the same time very down to earth person, and he's spent a substantial part of his life itself in data analytics. I'm sure all the speakers who are here would really appreciate it, and I am actually looking forward to that session, just like any of these participants are. And the interesting thing with sir brings us is, every time he brings a new perspective to the session, even the content, the concept, he will always be brought in a different way, and you will understand how practically using simple CAD tools, because there are definitely different types of people. Some type of people are like, I will use Excel to the fullest. Some type of people are like, I understand this, but I find it difficult. Is there some sort of an automation tools available, etc.? So that is where I think these gaps can be filled step by step. And please do join us tomorrow. The link is already will be shared in the subsequent due process. And tomorrow's session is on data analytics using CAD tools. Subsequently, we have using the Power BI, and the last session would be on R and Python. So we'll see you all on the subsequent sessions, and thank you once again.
Thank you.